Good morning. Well, today I'm going to bring out what I call the big guns. There are 3 prayers that are my go-to prayers when in times of difficulties, when I really need help with something. And I'm going to see if I can say all 3 of them today. The first one is the Fire Tablet by Bahá'u'lláh. In the name of God, the most ancient, the most great. Indeed, the hearts of the sincere are consumed in the fire of separation. Where is the gleaming of the light of thy countenance? O beloved of the worlds, those who are near unto thee have been abandoned in the darkness of desolation. Where is the shining of the morn of thy reunion, O desire of the worlds? The bodies of thy chosen ones lie quivering on distant sands. Where is the ocean of thy presence, O enchanter of the worlds? Longing hands are uplifted to the heaven of thy grace and generosity. Where are the rains of thy bestowal, O answerer of the worlds? The infidels have arisen in tyranny on every hand. Where is the compelling power of thine ordaining pen, O conqueror of the worlds? The barking of dogs is loud on every side. Where is the lion of the forest of thy might, O chastiser of the worlds? Coldness hath gripped all mankind. Where is the warmth of thy love, O fire of the worlds? Calamity hath reached its height. Where are the signs of thy succor, O salvation of the worlds? Darkness hath befallen most of the peoples. Where is the brightness of thy splendor, O radiance of the worlds? The necks of men are stretched out in malice. Where are the swords of thy vengeance, O destroyer of the worlds? Abasement hath reached its lowest depth. Where are the emblems of thy glory, O glory of the worlds? Sorrows have afflicted the revealer of thy name, the All-Merciful. Where is the joy of the dayspring of thy revelation, O delight of the worlds. Anguish hath befallen all the peoples of the earth. Where are the ensigns of thy gladness, O joy of the worlds? Thou seest the dawning place of thy signs veiled by evil suggestions. Where are the fingers of thy might, O power of the worlds? Sore thirst hath overcome all men. Where is the river of thy bounty, O mercy of the worlds? Thou seest this wronged one, lonely in exile. Where are the hosts of the heaven of thy command, O sovereign of the worlds? I have been forsaken in a foreign land. Where are the emblems of thy faithfulness, O trust of the worlds? The agonies of death have laid hold on all men. Where is the surging of thine ocean of eternal life, O life of the worlds? The whisperings of Satan have been breathed to every creature. Where is the meteor of thy fire, O light of the worlds? The drunkenness of passion hath perverted most of mankind. Where are the day springs of purity, O desire of the worlds? Thou seest this wronged one in tyranny among the Syrians. Where is the radiance of thy dawning light, O light of the worlds? Thou seest me forbidden to speak forth. Then from where will spring thy melodies, O nightingale of the worlds? Most of the people are enwrapped in fancy and idle imaginings. Where are the exponents of thy certitude, O assurance of the worlds? Baha is drowning in a sea of tribulation. Where is the ark of thy salvation, O Savior of the worlds? Thou seest the day spring of thine utterance in the darkness of creation. Where is the sun of the heaven of thy grace, O light giver of the worlds? The lamps of truth and purity, of loyalty and honor have been put out. Where are the signs of thine avenging wrath, O mover of the worlds? The lamps of truth and purity, of loyalty and honor have been put out. Where are the signs of thine avenging wrath, O mover of the worlds? Canst thou see any who have championed thyself, or who ponder on what hath befallen him in the pathway of thy love? Now doth my pen halt, O beloved of the worlds. The branches of the divine lote tree lie broken by the onrushing gales of destiny. Where are the banners of thy succor, O salvation of the worlds? This face is hidden in the dust of slander. Where are the breezes of thy compassion, O mercy of the worlds? The robe of sanctity is sullied by the people of deceit. Where is the vesture of thy holiness, O adorner of the worlds? The sea of grace is stilled for what the hands of men have wrought. Where are the waves of thy bounty, O desire of the worlds? The door leading to the divine presence is locked through the tyranny of thy foes. Where is the key of thy bestowal, O unlocker of the worlds? The leaves are yellowed by the poisoning winds of sedition. Where is the downpour of the clouds of thy bounty, O giver of the worlds? The universe is darkened with the dust of sin. Where are the breezes of thy forgiveness, O forgiver of the world? This youth is lonely in a desolate land. Where are the rains of thy bestowal, O answerer of the worlds? O supreme pen, we have heard thy most sweet call in the eternal realm. Give thou ear unto what the pen, give thou ear unto what the tongue of grandeur uttereth, O wronged one of the worlds. Were it not for the cold, how would the heat of thy words prevail, O expounder of the worlds? Were it not for calamity, how would the sun of thy patience shine, O light of the worlds? Lament not because of the wicked. Thou wert created to bear and endure, O patience of the worlds. How sweet was thy dawning on the horizon of the covenant, among the stirrers of sedition, and thy yearning after God, O love of the worlds. By thee, the banner of independence was planted on the highest peaks, and the sea of bounty surged, O rapture of the worlds. By thine aloneness, the sun of oneness shone. and by thy banishment the land of unity was adorned. Be patient, O thou exile of the worlds. We have made abasement the garment of glory, and affliction the adornment of thy temple, O pride of the worlds. Thou seest the hearts are filled with hate, and to overlook is thine, O thou concealer of the sins of the worlds. When the swords flash, go forward. When the shafts fly, press onward, O thou sacrifice of the worlds. Dost thou wail? Or shall I wail? Rather shall I weep at the fewness of thy champions. O thou who hast caused the wailing of the worlds. Verily, I have heard thy call, O all-glorious beloved. And now is the face of Baha flaming with the heat of tribulation and with the fire of thy shining word, and he hath risen up in faithfulness at the place of sacrifice, looking toward thy pleasure. O ordainer of the worlds. O Ali Akbar, thank thy Lord for this tablet, whence thou canst breathe the fragrance of my meekness, and know what hath beset us in the path of God, the adored of all the worlds. Should all the servants read and ponder this, there shall be kindled in their hearts a veil. There shall be kindled in their hearts a fire that shall set aflame the worlds. And now I'm going to recite the Tablet of Ahmad by Bahá'u'lláh. He is the King, the all-knowing, the wise. Lo, the nightingale of paradise singeth upon the twigs of the tree of eternity. with holy and sweet melodies, proclaiming to the sincere ones the glad tidings of the nearness of God, calling the believers in the divine unity to the court of the presence of the generous one, informing the severed ones of the message which hath been revealed by God the King, the glorious, the peerless, guiding the lovers to the seat of sanctity and to this resplendent beauty. Verily, this is that most great beauty, foretold in the books of the messengers, through whom truth shall be distinguished from error, and the wisdom of every command shall be tested. Verily, he is the tree of life, that bringeth forth the fruits of God, the exalted, the powerful, the great. O Ahmad, bear thou witness that verily he is God, and there is no God but him, the King, the Protector, the Incomparable, the Omnipotent. And that the one whom he has sent forth by the name of Ali was the true one from God, to whose commands we are all conforming. Say, O people, be obedient to the ordinances of God, which have been enjoined in the Bayan by the glorious, the wise one. Verily, he is the King of the messengers, and his book is the mother book. Did ye but know? Thus doth the nightingale utter his call unto you from this prison. He hath but to deliver this clear message. Whosoever desireth, let him turn aside from this counsel. And whosoever desireth, let him choose the path to his Lord. O people, if ye deny these verses, by what proof have ye believed in God? Produce it. O assemblage of false ones, nay, by the one in whose hand is my soul, they are not and never shall be able to do this, even should they combine to assist one another. O Ahmad, forget not my bounties while I am absent. Remember my days during thy days, and my distress and banishment in this remote prison, and be thou so steadfast in my love that thy heart shall not waver, even if the swords of the enemies rain blows upon thee, and all the heavens and the earth arise against thee. Be thou as a flame of fire to mine enemies, and a river of life eternal to my loved ones, and be not of those who doubt. And if thou art overtaken by affliction in my path, or degradation for my sake, be not thou troubled thereby. Rely upon God, thy God, and the Lord of thy fathers. For the people are wandering in the paths of delusion, bereft of discernment to see God with their own eyes, or hear his melody with their own ears. Thus have we found them, as thou also dost witness. Thus have their superstitions become veils between them and their own hearts, and kept them from the path of God, the exalted, the great. Be thou assured in thyself that verily he who turns away from this beauty hath also turned away from the messengers of the past, and showeth pride towards God from all eternity to all eternity. Learn well this tablet, O Ahmad. Chant it during thy days, and withhold not thyself therefrom. For verily God hath ordained for the one who chants it the reward of 100 martyrs and a service in both worlds. These favors have we bestowed upon thee as a bounty on our part and a mercy from our presence, that thou mayest be of those who are grateful. By God, should one who is in affliction or grief read this tablet with absolute sincerity, God will dispel his sadness, solve his difficulties, and remove his afflictions. Verily, he is the merciful, the compassionate. Praise be to God, the Lord of all the worlds. And now, I'm going to recite the long healing prayer. I'm going to have a little tea first. He is the healer, the sufficer, the helper, the all-forgiving, the all-merciful. I call on thee, O exalted one, O faithful one, O glorious one. Thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O sovereign, O upraiser, O judge. Thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O peerless one, O eternal one, O single one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O most praised one, O holy one, O helping one. Thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O omniscient, O most wise, O most great one. Thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O clement one, O majestic one, O ordaining one. Thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O beloved one, O cherished one, O enraptured one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O mightiest one, O sustaining one, O potent one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O ruling one, O self-subsisting, O all-knowing one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O Spirit, O Light, O most manifest one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O thou frequented by all, O thou known to all, O thou hidden from all, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O concealed one, O triumphant one, O bestowing one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O Almighty, O succoring one, O concealing one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O fashioner, O satisfier, O uprooter, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O rising one, O gathering one, O exalting one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding. O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O perfecting one, O unfettered one, O bountiful one. Thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O beneficent one, O withholding one, O creating one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O most sublime one, O beauteous one, O bounteous one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O just one, O gracious one, O generous one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O magnificent one, O ancient of days, O magnanimous one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O well-guarded one, O Lord of joy, O desired one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O thou kind to all, O thou compassionate with all, O most benevolent one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O haven for all, O shelter to all, O all-preserving one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O thou succorer of all, O thou invoked by all, O quickening one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O unfolder, O ravager, O most clement one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O thou my soul, O thou my beloved, O thou my faith, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O quencher of thirsts, O transcendent Lord, O most precious one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O greatest remembrance, O noblest name, O most ancient way, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O most lauded, O most holy, O sanctified one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O unfastener, O counselor, O deliverer, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O friend, O physician, O captivating one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O glory, O beauty, O bountiful one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O the most trusted, O the best lover, O Lord of the dawn, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O enkindler, O brightener, O bringer of delight, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O Lord of bounty, O most compassionate, O most merciful one, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O constant one, O life-giving one, O source of all being, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O thou who penetratest all things, O all-seeing God, O Lord of utterance, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O manifest yet hidden, O unseen yet renowned, O onlooker, sought by all, thou the sufficing, thou the healing, thou the abiding, O thou abiding one. I call on thee, O thou who slayest the lovers, O God of grace to the wicked. O sufficer, I call on thee, O sufficer. O healer, I call on thee, O healer. O abider, I call on thee, O abider. Thou, the ever abiding, O thou abiding one. Sanctified art thou, O Lord my God. I beseech thee, by thy generosity, whereby the portals of thy bounty and thy grace were opened wide, whereby the temple of thy holiness was established upon the throne of eternity, and by thy mercy, whereby thou didst invite all created things unto the table of thy bounties and thy bestowals, and by thy grace, whereby thou didst respond in thine own self with thy word yea on behalf of all in heaven and earth at the hour when thy sovereignty and thy grandeur stood revealed. At the dawn time, when the might of thy dominion was made manifest. And again do I beseech thee by these most beauteous names, and by these most noble and sublime attributes, and by thy most exalted remembrance. And by thy pure and spotless beauty, and by thy hidden light in the most hidden pavilion, and by thy name, cloaked with the garment of affliction every morn and eve to protect the bearer of this blessed tablet, and whoso reciteth it, and whoso cometh upon it, and whoso passeth around the house wherein it is. Heal thou then by it every sick, diseased, and poor one, from every tribulation and distress, from every loathsome affliction and sorrow. And guide thou by it whosoever desireth to enter upon the paths of thy guidance, and the ways of thy forgiveness and grace. Thou art verily the powerful, the all-sufficing, the healing, the protector, the giving, the compassionate, the all-generous, the all-merciful. Now I will recite Abdu'l-Bahá's tablet for the northeastern states. O thou kind Lord, praise be unto thee that thou hast shown us the highway of guidance. Opened the doors of the kingdom and manifested thyself through the sun of reality. To the blind thou hast given sight. To the deaf thou hast granted hearing. Thou hast resuscitated the dead. Thou hast enriched the poor. Thou hast shown the way to those who have gone astray. Thou hast led those with parched lips to the fountain of guidance. Thou hast suffered the thirsty fish to reach the ocean of reality. And thou hast invited the wandering birds to the rose garden of grace. O thou Almighty, we are thy servants and thy poor ones. We are remote and yearn for thy presence, are athirst for the water of thy fountain, are ill, longing for thy healing. We are walking in thy path and have no aim or hope save the diffusion of thy fragrance, so that all souls may raise the cry of, O God, guide us to the straight path. May their eyes be open to behold the light. May they be freed from the darkness of ignorance. May they gather around the lamp of thy guidance. May every portionless one receive a share. May the deprived become the confidants of thy mysteries. O Almighty, look upon us with a glance of mercifulness. Grant us heavenly confirmation. Bestow upon us the breath of the Holy Spirit, so that we may be assisted in thy service, and like unto brilliant stars shine in these regions, the light of thy guidance. Verily, thou art the powerful, the mighty, the wise, and the seeing. From the hidden words of Bahá'u'lláh. 27 in the Persian. O son of dust, all that is in heaven and earth I have ordained for thee, except the human heart, which I have made the habitation of my beauty and glory. Yet thou didst give my home and dwelling to another than me. And whenever the manifestation of my holiness sought his own abode, a stranger found he there, and homeless hastened unto the sanctuary of the beloved. Notwithstanding, I have concealed thy secret and desired not thy shade. And now I'm going to continue our reading of the Suriy-i-Haykal from the Summons of the Lord of Hosts. And in this tablet, Bahá'u'lláh is addressing Napoleon III. Oh, I'm sorry, no. He's addressing Tsar Alexander of Russia. Tsar Alexander II. And in this part of the tablet, he's talking to the proud ones of the earth. I think I read this paragraph yesterday, but I wanted to read it again today. O proud ones of the earth, do you believe yourselves to be abiding in palaces, whilst he who is the King of revelation resideth in the most desolate of abodes? Nay, by my life, in tombs do ye dwell. Could ye but perceive it. Verily, he who faileth in these days to be stirred by the breeze of God is accounted among the dead, in the sight of him who is the Lord of all names and attributes. Arise then from the tombs of self and desire, and turn unto the kingdom of God, the possessor of the throne on high and of earth below, that ye may behold that which ye were promised aforetime by your Lord the all-knowing. And when he says that ye may behold that which ye were promised aforetime by your Lord, he's talking about the promises in all the holy books about the time when men would begin to build the great peace on earth. And that time is now. With the coming of Baha'u'lláh and his teachings, the kingdom of earth, the kingdom of heaven, is now being built on earth by those who are putting into practice his teachings, which in truth is everyone in the world in one way or another, but specifically the followers of Baha'u'lláh, who are consciously are consciously attempting to abide by all of the teachings. Think ye that the things ye possess shall profit you? Soon others will possess them, and ye will return unto the dust, with none to help or succor you. What advantage is there in a life that can be overtaken by death, or in an existence that is doomed to extinction, or in a prosperity that is subject to change? Cast away the things that ye possess, and set your faces towards the favors of God, which have been sent down in this wondrous name. He's not saying that you have to give up everything that you own, but he's saying use it for the good of the world, and don't let it get in between you and God. Don't put your happiness in it. Thus doth the pen of the Most High warble unto thee its melodies, by the leave of thy Lord the All-Glorious. So Bahá'u'lláh is also known as the pen. When thou hast heard and recited them, say, Praise be unto God, O Lord of all the worlds, inasmuch as thou hast made mention of me through the tongue of him who is the manifestation of thyself, at a time when he was confined in the most great prison, that the whole world might attain unto true liberty. So here he's actually talking to Tsar Alexander II here, when he says to him, once you have heard and recited the words of God that have come from Bahá'u'lláh, say, Praise be unto God, unto thee, O Lord of all the worlds, inasmuch as thou hast made mention of me. That would be Tsar Alexander II. Through the tongue of him who is the manifestation of thyself. That would be Bahá'u'lláh. At a time when he, Bahá'u'lláh, was confined in the most great prison, that the whole world might attain unto true liberty. So the most great prison was the prison of Akka, which was on the banks of the Bay of Haifa, when Bahá'u'lláh was confined in this army barracks, in a cell overlooking the ocean for over 2 years by himself. And that was the 4th of his imprisonments. Then Bahá'u'lláh finishes his address to Tsar Alexander II in this paragraph where he says, Blessed be the king, whose sovereignty hath withheld him not from his sovereign, the God, and who hath turned unto God with his heart. He verily is accounted of those who have attained unto that which God the mighty, the all-wise, hath willed. Ere long will such a one find himself numbered with the monarchs of the realms of the kingdom. Thy Lord is in truth potent over all things. He giveth what he willeth, to whomsoever he willeth, and withholdeth what he pleaseth, from whomsoever he willeth. He verily is the all-powerful, the Almighty. I'll be back tomorrow.